Okay, people, now it's demo time, and now we are going to learn something about the practical side of things. I'm going to utilize Excel for it. So let's just go right in to our first demo session. Yes, we are going to use the good old Excel, the classic of the statistical programs. Of course, there are far more better choices, such as Days Data, R, and SAS, even SPSS. Well, that's debatable. I think Excel is even better than SPSS, but then again, world is full of choices. Excel is readily available and most commonly known. But here today we are going to use this because it doesn't require licenses or anything crap like that. Of course there is R, but that's totally too advanced for this course's intentions. And it is to be noted that I don't teach everything about Excel. This is not an Excel course, and I'm not going to go that deep in the program. Of course, I'm going to show how everything is done regarding the course, but if you're bound to have some kind of problem with the Excel, you should consult the world's greatest gift to mankind, which is Google. Google is your friend. Just type in the question you have about the program. There is bound to be millions of threads online and people who have already solved your problem, whatever it may be. But anyways, here are the raw basics. There is rows and columns, so the data is like any other statistical program. It has the observation matrix here, and the columns are lettered and the rows are with numbers. And it's going to be obvious why it's this way after we are trying to play with functions. And there is the function which is the input on per cell. It will show the information what's inside the cell or the function what's inside in the cell. Otherwise the cell will show the answer to that said function. And we are of course having the cell which is the square one uh, thing there on the observational matrix, and we have menus on the top. And don't worry if we don't go here in depth on the menus. I go through every menu which is relevant to our um, analysis needs. At the every demo Excel what I have brought to you will also contain a code book which is in a different sheet. As you can see at the bottom corner there is sheets menus. You can think this as browser tabs basically, which will show you different pages on the whole Excel file. So here is the code book which will tell you labels, what the variables will contain, and values of said variables and what they are, if they are categorized and they are already there. So you can consult this anytime if you're forgetting what the certain kind of a variable did or what kind of values it has and what those values do represent. Every demo Excel has the same structure, like I said. First, we have the dataset, what we are going to use in the exercises. In addition, we have the code book, what I told you about previously. And third, we have the name sheets, which will contain my presentation calculations. And finally, we have the so-called task sheets, which are the exercises for you to do between these demo sessions. And there will be clear instructions when to do this task around this video. And after those, we go through the answers which are also included in different sheet altogether. So now to the practical sides and for the key figures. Let's go to the first example of key figures. We have to understand that the Excel calculates values to certain cell by using functions, which are in all sense automated calculations or inserting a raw number into them. So you can just type in number there, press enter, and the number stays there. So you are using either functions or inserting raw numbers, or they store them. And you can write functions directly inside the cell or to that area which is marked by the purple circle. And here is how to calculate key figures using function, and we have several function commands here. Count calculates the number of cells designated by the user. Average is obvious, it calculates the mean of cells. Median is self-explanatory also, it calculates the median. And the mode, SNGL, calculates the mode or the most frequent value. And STDEVP, that's a nice thing to say, calculates the population standard deviation, and the equal mark comes first to indicate that the function is beginning. That will tell the Excel that the like the function is beginning. And I have color corrected there all the things how the functions are written there. And let's go a little bit deeper than that. And here you can see how the what's inside the brackets work, what's inside the function basically. Brackets enclose the information on where the calculations are being done. The first part, the ISSB sample data, indicates that what data is picked from what sheet. So that's the sheet name, which are the reference points. So the Excel can pick something from a different sheet. It doesn't have to be the sheet where you're calculating functions on. And the second part is basically following. You have the starting column and start row there, and then you have end column and end row. It will indicate the area which we are doing, and it's separated by the separator there. So it's quite straightforward. It's a column F, row 2, and it always goes down to F column row 1210. So the column remains the same in this particular example, but we go crap ton of rows, and all that area is being selected. And here is the second example of this area selection. We calculate mean, for example, from this is of course empty area, but we select F1 to G4. So the first cell here is F1, which is the first row, and F column, and I have selected the whole area which ends to G4. So everything between them is selected, and it's divided by the separator, which will indicate an area selection. It's always a rectangular way how the Excel selects. You cannot have that complicated custom selections. In some cases you can, but here this is how it's marked. It's in its all simplicity. So the basic rationale is always the same with any function. You click on the cell where you want to calculate something and type equals function name. So you put the function name there and brackets. So the brackets will separate the area where you put your area information, what area is being calculated on by the function. And you can just put your area by drawing the mouse over the cells which you want to select. Just press left mouse button and drag it over the area, and the cells are updated inside the brackets automatically. In our example, this is done to all values on income columns. So yes, I did select 1200 rows, and you can count, go and go to the last cell and just click that and the first cell and press shift and left click. So it connects the 2 points. That's the fast way to do it. Of course, you can paint everything just like that, so by dragging, and that's okay too, whatever floats your boat, so to speak. Of course, using functions is always great. It's fast, efficient, and you should always use them. But also, it's good to know how to do this by hand. So then you know how everything works in Excel and you can do custom work if there is no proper function what you are trying to do, but you can calculate anything by hand if you know how to do it. For example, there are many ways to calculate mean, and here we have a sum command which automatically sums everything from this column, and we are using that with the count command which counts every row or the observation count from the columns, so you don't have to put every uh, calculation inside there and one by one in every cell. You can just use these kind of functions to get faster results if you're doing some custom work. So for the median, it takes a little bit of detour and you have to find the position of the number. After figuring that out, we need to find the place in the correct row and the place of the number, and you use the formula what here we have seen before basically. And now you know that again, so you don't have to do it ever again basically. So if you know the basic premise, you can utilize this for any equation, any calculation, whatever you want to do. And of course, here is the one of the important numbers is the standard deviation, and you can calculate by using this monstrosity, which is horrible. Don't do this, but this is the way if you want to do it by hand. You just click the cells what you want to use in an equation one by one and construct this horrible function basically and calculate it by that by hand. So you don't have to type every number in, you just click the cells what you want to use. So not recommended, just use the functions. That's easy, more easily, but you have to do in the exercises this also, so you know what you are doing and learn to appreciate the automatic ways of Excel and every statistical program known to man. Do the task 1 and 2 right now. Okay, we are back and hopefully you did good on the task and here are the right answer. This is just using functions basically, so I don't have anything exactly complicated to say. Those are the right answers and the functions. Of course, your functions could be different if your placement is different or you are using different cells or stuff like this. But this is what it should look like, and the answers are right there. And there is not much to say here. If you had similar kinds of results, that's totally fine. Now you know how to use functions, and that's great. And here is the second task, and here of course you had to calculate more by hand, and that would probably be aggravating. I know, I'm sorry, but this is how you learn. So I had done these functions or the calculations like this. I have clicked all the cells needed in a different sheet, of course. That's why I have the task number 2 there. You may have calculated them inside the sheet, so you don't have that part there at all. So this is pretty straightforward. This is just to be diligent and put the right numbers in the right places as the formulas needed to be done, which are seen in the lectures. So hopefully you did get everything right, and today I don't have anything else to say. This was a short one and really basic one because these are just, you know, key figures with automatic calculations. There is nothing much to it. Hopefully it was easy and you learned a lot new or refreshed the old things inside your head. So See you next time on the next lecture and the next demo. Bye.